Hi guys, my name is Arvindh. Welcome to 6th grade math with all STEM. Today we will be discussing one-variable equations. This video covers the basics of variables, exponents, coefficients, relationships between all of these terms in an equation, properties of operations on numbers, how to evaluate all these equations fluently, and understanding number relationships in each word problem. As always, our videos contain between 8 to 15 review questions. Each one is timestamped in the description box. If you get a question right, feel free to skip to the next timestamp. Otherwise, go ahead and watch the explanation after each question. If you want to review certain topics after this video, we have a links to further reference page in our description box, along with all of our questions. On this page, we have a link for each question so that you can dive deeper into the challenging ones. These links are great for extra practice. All right, let's get started with the first question.
So really quickly, before we get started, I just want to go over what we're going to do again. So we're going to go over these three standards. So first, we're going to use substitution to determine whether a number makes an equation true. We're going to use variables to represent numbers and write expressions when solving a real-world or mathematical problem. And lastly, we're going to solve real-world and mathematical problems by writing and solving equations. Okay, so let's get started with the first problem. Okay. 4 high school students are working on a Math 1 problem to find the solution to 2x minus 3 quantity squared equals 121. Each student got a different answer. These 4 answers were 5, 6, 7, and 9. Which of these numbers make the equation true? So I have given you guys the PEMDAS table here for you guys to use to help solve this problem. And I gave a little definition. So an equation is a combination of multiple terms that is set equal to a certain value, unlike an expression that isn't. Anyways, pause the video now, and in a few seconds, we'll check our answers. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So the correct number you should have gotten is 7. So feel free to read, or you can just listen to me say it. So we have 2x minus 3 squared equals 121. So we want to take the square root of both sides to get rid of the squared sign. So let's square root this. So now we get 2x minus 3 equals 11, because the square root of 121 is 11. So now we have 2x equals 14. And when we divide the 2 over, we get x equals 7. And that is how we get our final answer. Okay, let's do the next problem. 4 high school students are working on a Math 1 problem to get the equation 2x minus 2 quantity squared equals 16. Each student got a different answer. These 4 answers were 2, 3, 4, and 5. Which of these numbers make the equation true? So this is just pretty much an exact copy of the previous problem, except the numbers changed. So use the same method you did last time if you got the question right. And if you didn't, you can just use my method that I used and solve it, and we'll compare our answers in a few seconds. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So the final answer is 3. So once again, feel free to read, or you can watch me solve it. So let's set up our equation again. Now, we have to take the square root of both sides to get rid of the square. So we get 2x minus 2 equals 4. 2x equals 6, because I'm adding over the 2. And lastly, x equals 3, because I divided over the 2. Okay, now for our third problem. So a school is using X passenger vans to transport students on a field trip. With 121 students going on the field trip, how many vans will be needed if there are 11 people in each van? So this should be pretty simple if you know how to use your PEMDAS table. And just a little review for what a variable is. A variable is a term that replaces a numerical value in an equation or expression for the purpose of solving it. So pause the video now, and in a few seconds we can check our answers. 3, 2, 1. 11 vans are needed. So if you were paying attention to the first problem, do you guys remember that 121? The square root of 121 equals 11. That means 11 times 11 equals 121. So, anyways, let me actually go back to the real problem. So, 121 students are going on the field trip. And there are 11 people in each van. So, each van, we can consider it as a group, right? So how many groups of 11 go into 121? So when we do that, we get 11. So 11 vans are needed. This is the same process as the previous problem for question number 4. So school is using X passenger vans to transport students on a field trip. With 36 students going on the field trip, how many vans will be needed if there are 6 people in each van? So try to model this algebraically, since this is the algebraic equations and one variable equations video. Okay? So solve it, and then in a few seconds we'll check our answers. Ready? 3, 2, 1. 6 vans are needed. So let's try to model this algebraically, or using the variable x. The last one, I kind of just did it like this, which still works, but I want to model it like a real equation. So 36 students. Okay, so we have 6 people in each van, and there are x vans. We can just model it as 6x equals 36. And the reason this works is because we have 6 people in a group and x number of groups. So the number of groups times the number of people in the group equals total. Okay? You don't even have to memorize this or anything, because it's pretty like, I guess you can say, obvious to do, because if you have 3 bananas and you don't know how many groups of bananas you have to make to get 18, simply you do 3 times however many number of groups equals 18, and then you divide and you get 6. Okay? So anyways, let's solve this. We divide over the 6 and you get x equals 6. Okay, so for our 5th problem, a fruit salad consists of blueberries, raspberries, grapes, and cherries. The fruit salad has a total of 280 pieces of fruit. There are twice as many raspberries as blueberries, and there are 3 times as many grapes as cherries, and 4 times as many cherries as raspberries. How many cherries are there in the fruit salad? Okay, so use our PEMDAS table again, and I've when I solve the problem in the next slide, I've kind of defined it right here, the variables that I'll use, okay? So pause the video now. This is kind of a long one, so try your best, and we'll check in a few seconds, okay? 3, 2, 1. So we have 10 cherries. So I'm actually gonna, since there's not that much space here, I'm gonna jump over to the actual written answer that I wrote. So there are twice as many raspberries as blueberries. So that's going to be 2r equals b. 2r represents twice as many raspberries, okay? There are 3 times as many grapes as cherries. 3g equals c. 4 times as many cherries as raspberries. 4c equals r. Now let's solve. 2 times 4c equals 2r, which equals b. What does that mean? Okay, so let's look at our 4c equation. 3g equals c, right? So doesn't that mean 12g equals 4c if we just use proportions, right? So think about the process like that. So eventually we get 2r equals 8c, which also equals b. So that means 2 times 4 equals 8. 4c equals r, and r is 4. Okay? This means that there's 1 cherry in the salad. Finally, we have 10 cherries because we have to multiply to get 280. So this is all about proportions. If you remember in a couple of previous videos, we use proportions to solve math problems. So I know that this is a little bit complicated, but all you want to do is just set up these equations and then see what is equal to each other, okay? If 4c equals r, doesn't that mean 8c equals 2r? Because we're just using proportions, right? We just multiplied by 2, right? So you just want to think about it in the process like that. Megan spent $56.58 on 3 pairs of jeans. If each pair of jeans costs the same amount, write an algebraic equation that represents this situation and solve to determine how much one pair of jeans will cost. This is problem number 6, and it is the same processes that we've been using for the previous problems, okay? So pause now and solve it, and in a few seconds we'll check. 3, 2, 1. Each pair costs $18.86. So you can read my answer box, or you can just watch me solve it here. So pretty much, if 3 jeans cost the same amount, that means we can just label each jean's price as X, and there's 3 jeans, and somehow it all has to equal $56.58, right? So we get 3x equals 56.58. Now let's divide over the 3, and then we get 1886. X equals $18.86.
I hope that this was a good review of these topics. Like I said at the beginning, make sure to check out our links for further reference with more practice for these topics. Did these questions help you out? Do you have any questions on the topics in this video? Let us know in the comments below. If this video was helpful, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.